Hey friends, this is Sammy here with Digivangelism, and we are a ministry that seeks to help church leaders reach people online with the love of Jesus. And this video is really exciting because this is our first ever Vlogmas, which is pretty much just posting a video every day in December until Christmas, which I'm excited about doing. So today's video is how to create Advent images for Facebook. We at Digi help church leaders like you reach people online with the love of Jesus. We believe digital ministry is the biggest opportunity to share the love of Jesus yet, and so we do so weekly through blog posts, podcasts, social media posts on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and of course YouTube videos, which are usually once a week, but in December we're getting a little crazy. So subscribe if that sounds like something of interest to you, if this content sounds like it would be valuable for you in the future. And with no further ado, let's get started. And if you know about Canva, then you already know where we're going here, but I'm going to show you a couple different levels of difficulty of how you could use Canva. Canva is completely free, so I don't want you to panic about having to spend money. There is a pro version that you can buy, and it does have some helpful, additions to it. We have a pro version with Digi, but it's definitely not necessary for everything that you are going to want to do, especially for Advent images this season. So let's go. You could just Google search Canva like I did, or you can type in canva.com. That's the website right there. All right. So it brings you here to a dashboard, and you have what feels like limitless possibilities for what you can make. I mean, we have made presentations with Canva similar to PowerPoint, but you can do a lot more fun stuff in there. We make Instagram story posts, Instagram posts, Facebook posts. I mean, they're all sized perfectly for whatever you're doing. Specifically today, we are talking about Facebook posts, but I just want to kind of toot Canva's horn there that there are a ton of options. So spend some time exploring. Like I said, it's all free, and the templates are fantastic. So I like to search up here. You can also just click here and, scroll to find what you want to do, but I'm just going to type in Facebook, and then we're going to click Facebook post. So from here, this is as easy as you want it to be. So you can find one of these templates, maybe not a Christmassy one, maybe you want something a little more Adventy. I like this one. It's got the snowflakes, it's got the blue coloring, place for a big text there, and you can quite literally, and I'll show you how to do this, take this template, just put your text in, and bam, done. That's it. I mean, you made your Facebook post. Download it, free, the end. You could also, maybe find, here's another blue one that's decent that we could use, but maybe, for example, this one right here. Maybe you really like how that looks and you really want to put your information there, but you don't really want this person shopping because, you're not talking about a winter sale, you're talking about an Advent worship service or whatever you're talking about. You can delete that. You can customize these templates. You can remake them completely. Maybe you like one specific thing on the template, but then you don't like anything else. Totally redo it. That's totally up to you. And I would still consider that fairly easy. That is not a complicated process. We'll get into that just a little bit to show you how to do so. One note I want to make before I dive into this particular image here is I know you're advertising for Advent, and that's really important to you, and we hope that this video helps you do that well, but social media is not just about advertising. In fact, we like to say that only 20% of what you do on social media as a church or ministry should be advertising or could be advertising, with the rest being ministry itself. So what do you do with your ministry? You probably pray, you probably, share life together, you read scripture together, you do mission work together. Okay, how can you do that online? And you can do some of that through posts. You can have conversations by making a quality post that starts the conversation. You can share scripture, you can share worship, all these things you can do with your post. So while I'm going to talk a little bit about making an advertisement for maybe an Advent worship service, I want you to also keep in mind that you can be doing a lot of other stuff, and I really would say you should be doing a lot of other stuff with your church, social media. Okay, so we're moving on here. I click the template. Now the template's here. It's open. I'm going to put me up in the corner. Like I said, as easy as you want it to be. Come to our Advent worship. Bam. And you can change the size of this. If you need to space it out a little, you can move it around. You really have a lot of freedom here with Canva. Obviously, you want to change this. Perhaps you make it your church name and then the location. This could be your site. So church website, great. So now you pretty much have your image. Okay, so let's say this little snowflake is getting in my way. You have a lot of options here. You can push the snowflake backward. Great. Pretty much everything that you would do in like Publisher or Word, if you've ever played around in PowerPoint, you know, as far as resizing things, as you saw, layering things, it's all up here in your toolbar. You can make things a little more transparent. You have a lot of customization. So explore what you can do, but if you don't have time for that, capacity for that, don't worry about it. You can just leave it like this and post it. So an important point I want to say about advertising when you're making posts to, you know, share about your worship services or whatever you're doing this Advent season, you're sharing about what's coming up. You can put it like this and just, you know, shoot people to the website and hope that they get the information that they need from the website. But I think it's also very beneficial when you put all of the information about your event on the post itself. So the who, what, when, where, why, how, does it cost money? All these things, they seem excessive when you're the one planning it, but when you're the one looking for information on an event that you're hoping to go to, you need all of that information. And oftentimes you cannot find it. I mean, how many times have you tried to sign up for like a webinar and you're just like, I don't even know where it is. Is it online or offline? Does it cost money? I don't really understand. Putting that information, it might seem overwhelming, but it's really helpful for the person that's actually viewing this post in the end. So, you know, maybe we redo this. I'm not going to go through that all now, but you can let me show you how to add text. So over here on the left-hand side is the text. You can add, you know, plain text and then change font, size, coloring, all that good stuff that you know and love already. Or you can find a really cool font template if that's what you're into. And some of it will say pro here, in which case we do have a pro account, so that's popping up for us, but not for you. Or if it does pop up, it might have like a watermark. So just look out for that because you don't want to be putting watermark stuff on. We make the post. It has the who, what, when, where, how, all that good stuff. Why is that especially helpful on sites like Facebook? Because when one of your members shares this, or let's say your church posts it. Okay, we'll start there. Your church posts this image. It has all of the information on it. One of your members shares it. Someone else now can see everything right there. All that they need to do to join your Advent worship opportunity. It's free. It's online. Here's the date. Here's the time. Here's where I go for the link, whatever. It's very shareable, which makes it very accessible for other people to join in, which at Digi, we want to help people reach people with the love of Jesus online. To actually reach people with the love of Jesus, often you need to, you know, make them feel welcome, make them feel like they know how to access your opportunity of sharing that love of Jesus, which could be a worship service, any kind of event that your church might be having. And so we want to make it really accessible. And so including all that information makes it much more shareable, which does increase accessibility. Okay, 2 more things that I want to talk about in this easy version, and then I'll let you go try it out for yourself. Actually, before I get to those 2 things, let me just show you that once you have it all made here, you just hit this download arrow. This down arrow means download. PNG is great. You won't be able to do some of this stuff without a pro version. If you like a different kind of file type, you can do that. You just click download. It's free. There's no strings attached. Really wonderful. And then you post that to Facebook like you would post anything else on your church Facebook page. Okay, now this thing is going to seem really goofy. So you've noticed, these are some great pictures we've used. With Digi, our thumbnails on YouTube often have a picture. Often it's me, and the background is not there when we post those pictures. Now, this is a pro version capability, but there are other free sites that will easily help you take that background out. Now, look, I'm wearing the same shirt. It says "That'll tweet," coming to a store near you. I'm serious. But for now, it's not for sale. And I have the same background. I'm in the same space. But to get rid of that background, I use Canva. Like I said, you can use another platform. There is a point to this. We'll get there. I click effects. I'm selecting the picture, background remover. Takes like a couple seconds, not very long at all. and then the background will be removed. Now, why is this helpful for your church posts? Now, I get it. It seems kind of goofy, kind of gimmicky. Look how clear that was. That would have taken so long in Photoshop for me to do. But if you can include faces, if you can include, and maybe it's your face as the church leader, or maybe that feels totally goofy to you, like it certainly still does for me to see that. But maybe it's someone else too. Maybe it's just like some of your youth that are smiling and looking at this picture, this advertisement that you have behind it, or whatever Advent post you have behind it. If you can include pictures of your community, this does so much. I mean, first of all, it captures people's attention. So much more than just words. We're sick of seeing little Canva graphics. I know that's what I'm teaching you to make right now, which is why I'm teaching you how to up level here too. But we see them so much. Now, when it's our church or our community organization, we're more likely to look and read and consider jumping into whatever is being offered through that graphic. But in general, if we just see someone posting a graphic, we may not be inclined to really read it or consider joining. If there's a person on it, that likelihood increases, and I could make up a percentage, but I don't know what that percentage is. I just know that statistically, when people see faces, they're much more likely to get engaged. It's just a human thing. We see eyes, we're connected, we're like, who is that? Oh, this is something worthwhile. There's a person there. Maybe not consciously, but it certainly happens. Now, there are too many of me on the screen here, so I'm taking me off. But this also, another great piece about including people on your pictures, the graphics that you're sharing, is that it actually helps people outside of your community get to know those inside your community. Now, that seems like bizarre because you're like, but they're not getting to know anyone, but they're going to start seeing faces, okay? Little Jeremy, when you finally come to Sunday school or bring your child to Sunday school, is not just like another random kid. It's like, oh, I know Jeremy. Jeremy's been on all those pictures, or maybe one of the pictures, and then you've got Marissa and whoever are pictured. But you start to get to know who they are, especially as you continue to post multiple faces, you continue to, you start seeing them over and over again, and you're like, oh, I'm getting to know the people in this community. Or even if you don't use kids, because sometimes people are sensitive about that, and sometimes adults don't want to be pictured, but sometimes you do use your staff, your church leaders, your pastors. When you do that, people start to form connections with the pastor, with the church leader, even before they talk to them, because they get used to their face. They get used to the face being attached to that church, and it starts to become like a branding recognition thing. This is helpful because if you're in this post saying, come to our Advent Zoom worship service, or maybe a little less intimidating, just watch us on Facebook Live on Christmas Eve, or whatever you're advertising at this point. People are going to recognize that face and be more likely to want to see what that face has to say in worship. So not only is this catching people's attention a lot better, but it's also encouraging them to actually become part of this community. Not even like become a member or anything official like that, but just become part of the community this person is in. Like experience connection with these people because you want to kind of get to know them a little more. So there is one more thing I want to touch on here. And I think we're actually going to find a different template to do it because we've done a lot with that one. And as you can see, there are tons of templates. Okay, so I just want to show you one more really simple thing that you can do, and I don't want it to be an advertisement post because, like I said, we really try to discourage those because we already do so many of them. Likely, you need to step it back a little bit and try other things. But if you're already doing other things, great, then this is just another way to do that. Here's a really simple post, okay? The snowy trees are fine for Advent. I mean, depending where you live. The blue coloring fits. I'm not even going to change that. The text, I'm not going to keep that, but because it's Advent, I'm just going to put the word hope. Now, you could make this, you could make this a scripture verse. You could make this a quote. You could make this not even just like a quote, a nice cutesy internet quote that feels like it fits for your church season, but it could be a sermon quote. It could be a quote from your church leader or your sermon from that last week. And that is such an easy thing to just insert into this image. Look, I'm putting, oops, I deleted it. making it look harder than it is. It's really not. I'm just doing multiple things at once. So I'm getting rid of what I don't want. I'm hitting delete, and I'm going to resize that a little bit. And maybe I don't even like that font so much. And I want it to be a little bit bigger. I want it to be full size there. I'm getting picky. You don't need to be picky. You need to be efficient with your time. And if this is not worth your time, then don't take the time to do that. I still don't really like that text, but I'm not going to get picky while I'm talking to you. So, boom. I made a graphic. That took me, what? A couple seconds, right? Maybe a minute or two. You could post your quotes in there, your sermon quotes, etc. on that graphic. Whatever you want it to be, and it's done. This does not have to be an ad. This does not have to be complicated. This can just be a way for people to engage. You could put one line caption on this post on Instagram or Facebook and just say, what are you hopeful about in this season? Boom, done. You could type that on the actual picture. We're going to see my typing. All right, so maybe I wouldn't phrase it exactly like that, but for the sake of time, we're going to keep it like this. Boom. Now it's a question post. It still looks Advent-y. People can engage with that. This is an awesome way of doing ministry online, being church online without, just posting advertisement posts all over the place. You can batch this work if this is important to you to do. So you can compile all of the quotes that you want to use, whether they're scripture verses that have to do with that week, quotes from your sermon that week, or just, Advent type things that you think would sound good on a post. You can compile all that, probably half an hour for a bunch of posts, okay? Then another half an hour that you have on another day, you can sit down and just find all of these templates that you're going to use. And maybe you open them just so that Canva starts to save it as something that you've worked on. Then on another day, you can start just pasting them all in, tweaking them like I did. Don't try to make them look perfect. Just get it done. That's the important part. Then on another day, and this might take a little bit longer, but once you batch this, you're done. You could schedule all these posts on your social media. I mean, Facebook makes it very easy. They have a scheduler built into Facebook that you can post this, put your 1 or 2 or 3 line caption on it, hit schedule. You just created content for Advent, and it didn't take that long. We have an Advent pack available if this seems like too much. We have Advent and Christmas and New Year's images all compiled together. There's actually 50 for Instagram. They're sized specifically the square for Instagram, and over 50 actually for Facebook, over 50 for Instagram too. These images are all copyright free. We created them. We know that the pictures are safe and all that to use. By the way, everything in Canva is safe for you to post on your church account. Don't worry about that. But sometimes people try to make their own outside of Canva, and they download images off Google Images, and that's not cool. So don't do that. But the images in our Advent and Christmas social media pack are all safe to use. They actually go with the lectionary. So if you are a church that uses the lectionary, you can post these to go with your sermon. I mean, there is a post for the gospel, actually 2 for each gospel and Advent. There is a post for each first lesson, second lesson, psalm. We've got a couple of those question posts that you just saw. We've got welcome to worship type of post. There's 50. There's over 50. So you will have more than enough. If this seems like too much, I know this was an easy version, but if it still feels like too much and just you don't have time for it, that's why we made this pack, because there are people like you who are very busy, and this is a very difficult time. And yet in this difficult time, we know that people need the hope of Jesus and faith community support more than ever. And so this is our way of trying to help you. And so right now it is on sale for $35 for the pack, and you can look at the link below for that in our shop. But there are also some discounts coming up, so keep an eye out. Make sure that you get that before it disappears, because it will disappear at some point. It won't be worth it anymore to be selling an Advent pack, because Advent will be over. And so if that's still helpful for you, download that. And if it's not helpful, I hope that this video was helpful in itself, because this is so important. It's so important that your church is online. This is where the people are. It really, truly is not just like an extra part of your ministry. This is your ministry. This is where your people are, not just in quarantine, before quarantine and after quarantine. People spend time online. And so if we as a church are sharing Jesus with people, we need to do that online. So if this was helpful for you, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Both of those things really help with the YouTube algorithm, and that just means it helps get this video to more people so that more people can be helped, more people can be church online, which is what we are all about doing. So we brought the knowledge today. Now it's your turn to put it into action. Thanks and good luck. Peace.